The countdown is about to end. In Formula One, starting last week, some teams have already begun unveiling their respective technical projects for the 2025 World Championship. This is a tradition jealously guarded by the various teams, despite the collective event scheduled for February 18th in a grand ceremony in London, which will only showcase the new liveries of the 10 competitors taking part in the last racing season before the regulatory overhaul. As every year, this is a period of hopes, speculation, and predictions regarding the competitiveness of the new single-seaters. It is a moment to savor, but until the official preseason testing takes place on February 26th at the 5.412-kilometer Bahrain International Circuit in Scuderia, Bahrain, no doubts about the performance of the cars will be dispelled, and not even then will we have a clear picture of the situation. The hope is that the upcoming championship will offer the same performance convergence seen in 2024. In fact, considering that many projects have reached their limits, at least in theory, we could see an even smaller gap between the various teams on the grid. This is also due to the work being done for 2026, which has diverted resources from the 2025 projects. The essence of sport should be the unpredictability of the final result, and in this sense, last season exceeded even the rosiest expectations. 4 teams won more than 3 races, and 7 drivers secured at least 2 victories. These are unprecedented numbers in Formula One, as it is extremely rare to witness such a level playing field in the history of the most important motorsport series. Due to a series of circumstances, next year is already destined to be remembered in history, regardless of who ultimately triumphs. Let's see why. The 2025 Formula One season will be anything but ordinary. Let's start with the reigning world champion, Dutchman Max Verstappen. If he manages to defend his title, he will equal Michael Schumacher's record of 5 consecutive world championships, achieved at the start of the 3rd millennium. Such a streak has only been possible through prolonged technical dominance. Lewis Hamilton came close during Mercedes's golden era, but an engine failure in Kuala Lumpur in 2016 and Nico Rosberg's determination interrupted what could have been a stellar sequence. The British driver himself could break the last record he shares with Michael Schumacher. This refers to the 8th world title, which has been an unspoken obsession since that fateful night in Abu Dhabi 2021. It is this emotional drive that keeps him from hanging up his helmet, despite having nothing left to prove. As for Scuderia Ferrari, all the conditions seem to be in place for the Maranello team to write its name in the sports history books once again, both in the Constructors' and Drivers' Championships after almost 2 decades. Generations of Ferrari fans have never seen the prancing horse triumph. Just as it happened between Jody Scheckter's title and Michael Schumacher's amazing triumph in 2000. It could also be the year of a new world champion, marking the crowning achievement of immense talent that needs the validation of a world title. We are talking, for example, about Charles Leclerc, a driver who has grown exponentially over the past 3 years and has shown consistency even when his car did not support him. He is the only driver, along with his Maranello teammate, capable of holding his own against Max Verstappen in wheel-to-wheel battles, proving that he is not intimidated by the often aggressive driving style of the 4-time world champion. There could also be glory for Lando Norris, who claims to have learned a lot from last season to the point of feeling ready to fight for his first Formula One world title. The British driver's confidence stems from overcoming great struggles in the past. Learning from one's limits and mistakes is always important, but words alone mean little. Proof must come on the track. If McLaren continues its extraordinary trajectory of performance growth, success for the Bristol-born driver might not just be a dream, but a clear necessity. It will be interesting to see whether that crucial click has happened in the English driver's mind, the one so necessary to avoid crumbling under the weight of the responsibility of having to win. In this case as well, a potential victory for Lando Norris would be historic for his team. The Woking-based squad last won a driver's title with Lewis Hamilton in 2008, in the dramatic finale of the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos, where Felipe Massa was world champion until just moments before the end of the race. Albert Park in Melbourne will play host to the Australian Grand Prix on the 16th of March for the first time since 2019, which will be Lewis Hamilton's first race with Ferrari. 2 weeks prior to that, Lewis Hamilton and the 19 other drivers on the grid will get the chance to drive their 2025 car extensively during the 3 days of testing that will take place in Bahrain. Pre-season testing for the F1 season takes place at the Bahrain International Circuit, which is located just outside of the city of Manama and is the home of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Bahrain has traditionally played host to pre-season testing, largely due to the steady climate, as anywhere in Europe could see adverse weather interrupt important running. Teams need to use the time on track to gather important data and effectively work out if there are any teething problems that could take too long to address during race weekends. Fans who have F1 withdrawal symptoms will be able to watch all of preseason testing on TV as it is televised. Sky Sports F1 is the exclusive rights holder for F1 in the UK, which means they will be broadcasting all of it on their channel. Elsewhere outside of the UK, fans can watch all of testing through F1 TV, which is where Sky Sports will be getting its feed. The tests take place over the course of 3 days between Wednesday the 26th of February and Friday the 28th of February. The track will be open for 8 hours each day, starting at 10 a.m. local, 7 a.m. GMT, and ending at 6 p.m. local, 3 p.m. GMT. Teams will want to ensure that there is as much running as possible, so they will try to avoid red flags or stoppages if they can. FIA Race Control also usually mandates a practice start sequence for one of the days, just to test all of their transponder and timing systems. Testing a lot more limited now compared to previous years, when teams had at least 6 days. Now that has been shortened to 3 for cost-cutting measures. The teams can either split their running between drivers or give one driver a whole day's worth of running. They tend to alternate between a half day and 2 full days for either driver, although that may vary depending on experience and any problems that could be thrown up. It is currently unknown what the plan is for each individual team, but this will be updated when that info becomes available. Each driver should get at least 12 hours in the car over the 3 days, barring any injuries, illnesses, or significant crashes. Data is the currency for Formula One teams, and they will be using the 3 days to gather as much information about their cars as possible, whether it's for reliability or setup purposes. This year's cars are largely evaluations of last year's, so there should not be too many teething issues that impact them. You will see them send their cars out with aero rakes attached to their cars, which look like fancy pieces of scaffolding, but actually play a crucial role in understanding their cars. They are used to measure the air pressure over the car at any point, with multiple probes attached to a metal fence over a specific area of the car, either near the diffuser, side pods, or front wing. They measure the air at every angle and are more reliable than the pitot tubes, which sit at the top of the bulkhead of most F1 cars and resemble an aerial because of the G-force F1 cars face through high-speed corners. Teams will also spray FlowViz paint on their cars, which is a synthetic paint that can show engineers the direction of airflow. Some teams use a mix of colors, while others also have ultraviolet paint, to prevent prying eyes from seeing information taken by photographers.